Hello everyone, welcome to episode 9 of Priviso Live, your weekly dose of insights and tips on all things information security, ICT legislation and risk. Brought to you by Priviso Consulting.
Hello all, this is Stephen here. Today is the first in our From the Coalface series, in which we will interview security and risk practitioners to hear their experiences and get their advice.
These episodes focus on people's real-world experiences while implementing these solutions. And today, we need to introduce two guests, Florence from a local bank and Andile from a cellular network to discuss mobile device management. Welcome to the podcast, guys.
Thank you, Lyn. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, thank you. It's quite a pleasant change to be here instead of the office.
Maybe you introduce yourselves? Florence?
Thank you, Lyn. Well, I'm acting as the CISO in a bank where we recently deployed MDM. I can't say which bank, unfortunately. Our marketing department won't allow that.
Red, green or blue?
Aitai, you're trying to catch me now.
Andile?
Well, you know, I have the same situation, as you would say. I am responsible for security and also privacy at a network service provider. And I can't tell you what color we are either.
How these interviewers are already brutal, hey?
Not at all. We are just glad you're here. So let's talk mobile device management, or MDM. You have both been involved in implementing this, yes?
Yes, I have.
Well, ladies first. Florence, what motivated you to implement the solution?
Oh, you know, we knew it was necessary, but we hadn't planned anything until we had an audit finding.
Audit always drives change, doesn't it?
It does. It does. We had a lot of pressure from management because we are a cell phone company and they wanted this addressed. But you know, I was glad because we got the budget and the support and we could take it forward.
So, staying with you, Andile, what would you say the biggest problem with this implementation was?
Look, we did this some years ago, and in our business we still had some staff with feature phones. But even where they had smartphones, there were a lot of different phones in use, including some at the, lower end of the market. So we had to do a lot of testing across the types of phones. And you know, some phones could simply not be included in the rollout.
Did you even know what phones were out there? We didn't know what phones our staff were using, mainly because we had so many personally owned devices,
Well, we were lucky. Lots of our staff bought phones through the company, so we had the information available.
You were fortunate then. We had lots of staff accessing company mail using their native phone application. But at first, we didn't know who they were, and we had to put in a lot of effort getting the phone details. Not to deploy the solution, but to understand how many MDM licenses we would have to purchase.
I suppose we were, but staff were very nervous to let us put software on their phones, especially when they had purchased the phones themselves.
Oh yes, there were all sorts of questions raised about how we were going to monitor their use and whether their privacy would be affected.
We had one manager say openly that he would not put any monitoring software on his phone. And this was a phone that the company had purchased for him.
Gosh, how did you deal with it?
Well, management took a decision. If you didn't have MDM, you weren't allowed to access our infrastructure or data. So the day came when we implemented conditional access. You either had our solution or you could not use your phone for work purposes.
That must have made you popular.
When you are in security, you are always popular.
Management likes having someone to take the blame. Yo,
I imagine there was a lot of change management involved.
you have no idea. The solution we used had to be installed by the users themselves. We couldn't push it from center, so we had to ask the users to install, and the take-up was very slow. They just were not interested until we provided the deadline for conditional access.
So you didn't do that up front?
Well, we couldn't. We didn't know if this could affect the business, and so we slowly deployed one business unit after the other, with awareness and training for each new deployment.
We did the same, and we still had users contacting our service desk to ask why they were not getting mail on the email client on their phone.
I think we all have examples where users ignored communications until it was too late.
For sure.
I just say I don't care when that happens. If you don't listen, I can't help you.
But you still did what you could to communicate, right?
Stephen, you always do what you can, you know, but when users don't listen, well, sympathy is in the dictionary between stupidity and uselessness.
You clearly don't mess around with Florence.
We're starting to run out of time. What advice would you give anyone going down this path?
Well, apart from communications, make sure you have a list of approved devices so people know what phones will work and what phones to purchase in the future.
I agree, but expect that there will be users that can't initially access your systems, whether to purchase phones for key staff or accept that their productivity may decline. That's a business decision. And
Absolutely. You will get a lot of questions from business. Understand what the budgetary stance is and ensure you have senior management support.
And you will get lots of questions from the user as well. What happens if my phone is lost? Will I still be able to play games? Will you be tracking where I am or what I browse? Ensure you define these policies in advance and that users can access them.
We debated whether to provide incentives to staff to promote implementation. We were lucky. We had some budget to run competitions with cell phones as the prizes, and we ensured that MDM was installed on those phones, but we are a cell phone company and we could do that.
I wish we had that kind of budget. One last one from me, I think. Think about the processes you use to manage laptops. Procurement, updates, lost devices, and device retirement processes must all be reviewed to accommodate cell phones as well.
People get very sensitive about their cell phones. Be ready to deal with a lot of suspicion and reluctance. I would say that is the hardest part. People, not technology.
In the end, not a trivial exercise at all.
No, not at all.
Thank you both for your time. I think you gave us valuable insights.
It was a pleasure.
Anytime.
That's all from us for this week. Thank you for tuning in, and we hope you found this episode interesting.
If you want to hear more of the same, don't forget to subscribe or like our channel to receive future episodes. You can find us on all major podcast channels, including Apple, Samsung, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. As always, this is sponsored by Priviso Consulting, your partner when trust matters.
Until next week, stay
Ciao
safe.
for now.